So what is quantitative easing? People always ask me. Here's the simple explanation. If you cut interest rates to try and stimulate growth, that usually works. But when you get to zero, so the interest rates are zero, if you don't have growth, you can't cut interest rates anymore. So you have to do something else that has something like the same effect. Quantitative easing is that something. So here's what they do. The central bank, so in Britain it would be the Bank of England, they print money. A lot of people tell you, oh, it's not really printing money, it's printing money. Only they do it on a spreadsheet. They make the money digitally. Right, then the important thing is what they do with that money. They get that money and they buy stuff off banks. And the stuff they buy off banks is the debt, usually, of governments, but in some cases, like in America, they buy mortgage debt all wrapped up into big parcels. So they buy debt out there in the debt market, and suddenly the central bank, Bank of England here, has a big pile of debt that it is sitting on, and the banks have the money that the central bank has just printed. That's the way it gets the money out into the economy. There is an argument that it shouldn't do that, and what it should do instead is just give people the money, or as one economist famously said, throw it from a helicopter. They're not yet prepared to do that. So how does it work? Well, it works by two mechanisms. First of all, the banks, who've now got loads of cash they didn't have, they can lend it if they want to. So that's called having liquidity. It's like when you've got plenty of cash in your pocket and you didn't have it before. It makes banks and people who use banks more confident. The next thing is it displaces the way investors behave. Think about it this way. Once the central bank will buy any debt that's out there, the interest rate on that debt is going to be really low. For technical reasons I will not bore you with, the effective interest rate on government debt falls to nearly zero. Now that's fine for government because it's not paying a lot of interest, but for investors it's not great, because your pension fund, or even you individually, you want to buy an investment that pays you regular income. Usually that's a government debt, because it pays a small amount of interest every year. But under quantitative easing, that interest is flattened. It doesn't exist. So people who need an income from investments, like your average pensioner reading the back pages of Telegraph, whatever, they were then forced to look for more risky investments, and investments that therefore will pay them a better income. So they will move their investments to stock markets, gold, commodities, oil, whatever. Not always wise investments, obviously, but it makes investors have to behave more riskily, and the theory is it then pushes money into where it needs to be into the economy. That is the theory of quantitative easing in what? 3 minutes 30. But then the big question is, if you want to do it in Europe, which has 19 states in the Eurozone, how does the central bank do it without one country effectively subsidizing another? Because if America does it or Britain does it, well, we don't care whether Birmingham is subsidized by London. But the Europeans seem to care a lot about whether Greece and Spain and Portugal will be effectively subsidized if the European Central Bank does quantitative easing, when all its money really comes from Germany and France. Here endeth the quantitative easing lesson.